Hi, this is Imthishan from Motoring Middle East. I'm taking in a quick review of the GMC Sierra. This is the 4-door crew cab version, so it's got all the trimmings or all the fixings, as they say in the US. It's not the Denali. The Denali gets a 6.2 litre V8. This has a 5.3. This is also the all-terrain version. If you can see by that little badge down there by the end of the front door. What that effectively means is got a slightly higher road height, so slightly more off-road biased tires, and some rather interesting shocks made by Rancho, which is supposed to give it a little bit more stiffness in off-road situations. It's quite a good looking truck, isn't it? I'd always liked the Sierra Silverados, and this version is even better. Oh, in case you're wondering before I open the tailgate, it's got a little step here. Take that, Ford. It's got a nice little way for you to get into the vehicle without having to faff about with some sort of contraption like the F-150 uses, so it's quite handy. This has the bed extender option, which is handy, except that it's got a really complicated mechanism in here, and I'm not going to fiddle with it because it might take me 2 hours to put it back together again. Good looking vehicle. Oh, here's that Rancho shock I was going to tell you about. Look at that, bright red, just in as Rancho likes it. I honestly couldn't think of a more suitable vehicle for the Middle East in terms of the kind of workload we have out here. It works well on the highway, it works well in the dunes when you want to play within reason. I mean, we're in a weir out here and basically the dunes are nice and simple, and this vehicle is more than capable of conquering them. Let's see how it does on the road. So here we are taking a ride in the GMC Sierra 5.3. What's the difference, you may be wondering, between, oh, that was an old Sierra that just went past, I don't know if you can see it. It's this handsome looking beast. The difference between this and the Silverado and the Chevrolet Silverado. Well, the GMC Sierra has nicer materials, it's more upscale, it's designed for a slightly higher class of cowboy, so to speak, or the kind of person who wants something more than this regular work truck that the Silverado is. So to boot, it's got a nicer interior with some nicer quality materials and plastics, carbon effect dashboard, red contrast stitching, yeah, the little things that most people are looking for when they want to differentiate themselves from the next cowboy. To drive, it's pretty similar to the Chevrolet Silverado, if not identical. In this crew cab form, it's got the short bed. Someone in GM will shoot me if I get this wrong, but I think it's the short bed. It feels pretty massive to me. It's like piloting a super tanker. Steering is hydraulic, of course, because this isn't electric steering yet, and it's quite nice, you know. It's a nice meaty steering. I mean, it isn't a very nimble car by any means. I mean, it's a whopping great lorry, and the engine is a 5.3 litre V8 with 355 horsepower and 383 foot-pounds of torque. Not slow by any means. 355 horsepower is pretty decent. However, it's a lot of car, so it's not gonna get off the line with the sort of alacrity of a, well, a Bugatti Veyron, let's put it that way. But and the gearbox as well, perhaps the only down point of this car, it can be a little slow to shift sometimes. It likes to slur through gears. It's really economy minded, and this car has cylinder displacement, which means that it shuts off 4 cylinders when it's cruising, like right now, which you can't see. But all that effectively means is that this car is very, very thrifty. It is frugal as hell on gas, and I think most people are going to be really, really happy with the way this car saves gas. I mean, I've been driving around for a week and it just does not use fuel. I really had to fill it up just to prove that it actually was using any fuel, which is good. I mean, there's 3 different ways you can go about saving fuel in a full-size truck. Ford does turbos and aluminium, Dodge does diesel, which you don't get here, and 8-speed auto, and Chevy goes with big torquey engines and cylinder displacement. And I think this approach works really well. Of course, GM and Chevy are super popular in this region, so there's plenty of people who've been trying it out. It's a nice motor. I'm sure plenty of all you are thinking, I can mod this motor and make more power. Yes, you can. But, you know, I really like this truck as it is. I'm not really a truck person. I like sports cars. I like small, nimble cars like the Jeep Wrangler. I've never been to these big behemoths, but I'm starting to understand what the appeal is. I mean, you're, first of all, in a giant metal shell. You're very safe. You feel very relaxed. It just lowers your blood pressure. A car like this is something that you could use every day. Well, and by the way, before you smart Alex pipe up, yes, you can use it in malls. I've been to every mall here and it fits. Although you need to be a little bit careful because you don't want to clout anything. But it will fit in just about every mall space. And it starts to make a whole lot of sense as a car that you could use every day. Drawbacks. Well, it's big. I mentioned that. The stereo is nice, but it has one really weird feature slash flaw, where basically it cuts out the air conditioning. It actually lowers the air. It's actually quite cool. It lowers the air conditioning when you get a call, so you can hear the other person better. However, that means that you start to cook because it's really hot outside. It's very quiet. Why is that a flaw, you're asking? That is a flaw because I like to hear the V8 engine, and unfortunately, because it's got such great sound deadening, the sills cut into the body to increase rigidity, or I don't know, it does something. It basically just makes the car really, really composed and quiet. I'm going over a rutted surface now, and it's perfectly quiet. I should also point out that for a car with leaf springs out the back, leaf springs, this thing, well, the camera's vibrating all over the place, so perhaps that wasn't so good, but it's really, really quite well damped. You don't miss air suspension, any of those things, although the Dodge boys might perhaps argue the point. And I've gone to somebody's farm, so I should probably come out here. This is the all-terrain version, so it's got 4x4, which is shift on the fly, so you can go from two-wheel drive, which I'm now an automatic, so it gives you 4-wheel drive, powers the front axle when you want, to a full-time 4-wheel drive and a low-range mode. And it's got no locking diffs, which you don't need. To be honest, nobody's going to use a truck like this to hit the dunes up really hard because it's just got too long. It's going to get hung up on everything. But for going down to the beach, for pulling trailers and stuff like that, it's pretty good. So, summation time. Would I buy the GMC Sierra? Well, I like to go to the desert, so it's not an ideal desert vehicle. But you buy a two-door version of this, and I think you're cooking with gas, man. I think you could take that truck anywhere. But as a replacement or an alternative to a regular SUV like a Grand Cherokee, a Land Cruiser, and so on, it actually makes a certain kind of sense. I think most people are going to be pretty happy with it. The only thing you could potentially want, but I would want in the next version is, well, I want the 8-speed. Come on, GM. I know you get the 8-speed in the Denali 6.2, which this isn't, but I want the 8-speed in everything. And I would like a slightly louder exhaust for next year. But other than that, this is a really good vehicle. In fact, GM, can I keep it? Please, pretty please. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you can keep following us on Motoring Middle East on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.